Erasmus Evening.
Very good evening. Welcome to Erasmus Evening Show. This is Gabriela Jelonek speaking, and today we are calling to Oslo. My guest is the president of Erasmus Mundus Association. Hello.
Hi, this is Pavan here.
What is Erasmus Mundus Association? Actually, we Erasmus students, let's say, know a lot about Erasmus Student Network, but this is a network, let's say, for the European Erasmus students. But Erasmus Plus is not only for students who are studying in Europe.
Absolutely. The Erasmus program started 30 years ago, and mainly it was all about mobility and internationalization. So the mobility between the European member states, and it was mainly targeted towards the European students. Erasmus Mundus program was initiated in 2004 from the European Commission, and the main focus has been to get quality and excellent candidates or students to pursue masters, like joint masters in Europe, in prominent universities, but at the same time also give an opportunity for European higher education institutions to attract more international students. In 2004, there have been over 350 different master's programs. Some of them are still continue to running. Some of them have become sustainable on their own. So they're offering a joint master's program without the Erasmus Mundus tag. So Erasmus Mundus Association has been initiated by European Commission in 2006. It started off with around 13 people to begin with, and today we have grown almost up to 15,000 members registered on our database. But the number of people who have undergone this Erasmus Mundus program is close to 18,000 people. Erasmus Mundus is mainly mobility between non-EU students coming into EU, but since 2014 this also opened up under the new Erasmus Plus program. This also opened up where EU students are welcome to apply for this joint masters, but also the European students can go for mobility outside of Europe even with the joint masters too. So it's more about Erasmus to the world. It's just have a different experience and different context the programs are applied to.
How many students are in your association?
Means on average, we get anywhere between 2,000 to 2,500 master students pursuing masters here in Europe and rest of the world actually now. So the number of students currently in a given year is around anywhere between 2,000 to 2,500. So the rest of them are alumni who are almost now 13,000 people, I would say, up close to. So yes, so in a given context, it's every year this number fluctuates between this depending on how many joint masters are offered.
So let's give some example. Have you ever been Erasmus Mundus student?
Yes, I myself was an Erasmus Mundus student. I did my joint masters in computational mechanics. So it's a cross-disciplinary or interdisciplinary masters between mechanical, aerospace and civil engineering, which is highly focusing on the computational aspects of engineering, which can actually cut down a lot of prototyping and a lot of production. I pursued my first year masters in Spain, Barcelona, and the second year was in beautiful Wales in United Kingdom. And I graduated in 2010 with my masters, and I was working in the UK before now moving to Norway.
And your mother university, let's say, was in?
I'm originally from India, and I'm from the southern part of India, a city called Bangalore. It's kind of the Silicon Valley of the east, or rather west. No, it's east actually. So it's significant IT things which happens in the city, and I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering from BMS Institute of Technology based in Bangalore, and I graduated in 2006 in mechanical engineering, as I mentioned. And I was working in a company called Timken Engineering and Research. I had my first 6 months in India, and then rest close to 1 year in US, and then back again for almost a year in India. And at during this process, I just decided to give a try for Erasmus Mundus. I barely knew about this program. I was just looking to go for masters in Germany, actually, for a joint masters, or rather for just a masters, because Germany has no tuition fee, and coming from a humble background where I am from, it was much easier to apply. And then when I was looking into University of Stuttgart, I got to know that there was Erasmus Mundus scholarship given for like 10 people around the world to do this particular masters. Then I'm like, okay, let me give it a try. And I knew that there were more than, at least what I got to know from the administrator of the course, there were more than close to 3,000 people who applied that particular year, and this number of scholarships was only around 10. So
wow, bravo! That wasn't easy at all.
No, I think that's the biggest difference, I would say, if I can call it as a difference, is the level of competition to get into Erasmus Mundus. Joint masters is extremely difficult. It's very much similar to how Marie Curie is for people to do their PhD or postdoctorate, or for someone to get a large-scale European Union Horizon 2020 project, or say like an European Research Council. So it's like a first step getting into the whole European research and innovation ecosystem, I would say.
जरा सा महसूस हुआ एक लाइफ की गाड़ी ने कस के मारा ब्रेक हो रहा है क्यों कंफ्यूज मेरे दिल मशवरा मेरा तू आजमा के देख यही उम्र है कर ले गलती से मिस्टेक यही उम्र है कर ले गलती से मिस्टेक यही उम्र है कर ले गलती से मिस्टेक यही मिस्टेक बेटा चल मसल फुलाना थोड़ी बॉडी बनाना तेरे चिकने गालों पे स्टबल की फसल उगाना अरे रे रे ओबे चल बेटा शुरू हो जा गुरु बगल उठा के थोड़ा डियो लगाना किसी बगल वाली को मर्दानी खुशबू सुंघाना चल ऊपर से दो बटन ढीले करके बताना बालों वाला सीना दिखाना बालों वाला सीना दिखाना बरसों तक तू साइकिल पे घूमा है हाईवे पे मोटर साइकिल भगा के देख स्पीड में तुझको अगर सर्दी लगे तो सीट पे पीछे लड़की बिठा के देख यही उम्र है कर ले गलती से मिस्टेक 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 बेटा
How did you get the idea to go from India to Europe for studies? Why?
To be honest, I think I never really thought that I would come this far in life, especially in terms of education, because I used to be a good kid. Somehow I deviated myself more into sports and some extracurricular activities. And then somehow I think for me the motivation has been my grandfather. And I still remember very much when he was almost dying, he held my hand and he said that the one thing he'll regret is not seeing me becoming an engineer and pursue the dream. I think that somehow triggered this whole kind of emotions in me back, and I don't know, since then I think it's been a nice ride, I would say. And I think most of the time I attach, whenever I try to deviate now, I always think about the promise I made to my grandfather. Of course, I said I would become an engineer, but I didn't expect that I would do a joint master's or even a PhD now. So I think it's just a journey. And then the experience of going to US really opened up my mind. I've always been lucky, and my parents have been really supportive, and I've always been an open-minded person, but just going and staying in US for almost a year really opened up minds in a significant manner. And my job with Timken Engineering and Research really gave me exposure to people who have been abroad, who have traveled a lot, and just sharing all these wonderful stories about, yet of course we all are different as human beings, but yet we all have something so much common. And then I told myself, yes, why would I not also give a try? And of course, for an Erasmus Mundus program, it costs nothing. The only thing which cost is to send the post from India to Spain, in my case, for the documentation which is printed and attested with a notary. So that was the only thing which I had to do.
There was any competition? Like, did you have to write any essay? Why do you want to go for Erasmus? Or
it is. As I said, these are extremely competitive places, and you're competing with the best in the world. And I think one of the biggest component in the Erasmus Mundus is like you need to be academically excellent. You need to be in the top in your university or in your degree, and you should have really showcase all either the work experiences or either your extracurricular activities related to the topic you would like to pursue your master's for. So we had to write a statement of purpose. Of course, your CV mattered a lot, but not only that, but also the recommendation letters from the people who are supporting that you would be a best fit to do this particular master's was an important aspect. I know that in some of the Erasmus Mundus, they do have, of course, we have this English language test which we had to take, either TOEFL or IELTS. In some cases, we had interviews, and at least in the program which I underwent, there was no interview, but I know that there were GMAT interviews and lots of other criteria before getting selected. I think it's become more and more difficult since 2006, I would say.
Wow, that's a huge challenge, I would say. You have to be the best in your university, and you have to survive in another culture, in another environment. So, I mean, Erasmus Mundus Association is a kind of association that helps foreign students from other continents to survive, let's say, here in Europe or in another continent if the Europeans are going abroad. So, how you deal with the culture shock here first in Spain, then in Wales?
It can be huge. In some situations, it can be very challenging. And luckily for me, of course, the time what I spent in US gave me a bit more exposure to another culture outside of India. And India itself is quite a complex and diversified country with lots of different cultures, and which I don't think the whole world knows. But having this kind of an exposure in US, and then of course I would say the Spanish are very similar to Indians in many things. Yeah, but it was a difficult thing, not only in terms of the culture, in terms of how people live, how people behave, and how people go about their daily life, but also academically it was a huge difference in terms of the teaching, how it is done in India versus how it's been done in Spain. And then say my mobility was only 6 months in Spain, and I was living in Barcelona, one of the coolest cities in Europe, but barely you get time to go out and get social because it was extremely hectic. Lots of assignments, lots of courseworks, and very challenging exams, I would say. Some of them, or half of our courses, were all open book. That means that, you can bring whatever you want to. And then they even gave us 24 hours, and still none of us more or less could manage to barely get into the idea of the exam. So it is tricky, adapt to such a big change. But I think people manage. Sometimes I did miss my home quite a lot initially, but then you get used to it, and then you have friends from so many different nationalities. Every day is such an exciting thing. You get time to go and try different cuisine, and of course, I do like Spanish food. That itself was something unique, which I was trying for the first time when I was there. And just the social atmosphere in Barcelona also makes you quite relaxed and you'll be curious every day because you're kind of gathering so much of information in such a short time, and then you have to already quickly move from one place to another. First of all, it takes so much difficult to find accommodation in such a short time, and then you're already moving to another country.
What's the main difference between studies in India and in Spain, Wales, or Norway?
I think all the countries which I've studied in UK, Norway, and Spain, and including India, they're quite different. I can just take gradually how the progression has been. In India, I would say that even now, today, I see that my cousins, sisters, and stuff when they're studying, it's a very much book-based, and then you have assignments. You're not necessarily. It's a very much like one-way communication, where you're not really challenged enough, I would say, to really explore and understand a particular subject. If you have a good memory, you can actually do good. There's a lot of obedience. There's a lot of respect to the teacher. But then there are very few teachers. I would say that I have been lucky also in that sense. There have been some teachers who are very inspirational, who go deep into the subject and make you understand the crux of it. But most of the time, you're just on the surface, not really understanding the subject. For some reason, I found that a little bit similar in UK, at least during my masters. But when I started doing the thesis in UK, my master thesis and the project, that was a different ballgame. It was very research-based. That's where I learned a lot about how to go about research and a lot of applications, and then somehow you engage in many different activities, which makes you learn more about, as a true mechanical engineer, for example, or aerospace. And Spain, I would say that more relaxed attitude, highly technical and competent professors. They know what they're doing, and they enjoy what they're doing. Coming to Norway, I would say that it's also good. It's somewhere in between Spain and UK, I would say. They're not completely exciting. Maybe it depends on group to group. I'm just talking about my experiences, of course, here. But Norway, I would say it's in between UK and Spain. I think it's more about the biggest change in all these places for me is the understanding and awareness about the research per se, or the innovation per se in education, in the way we go about learning something. I think that's different. The methods, like there are more assignments, there are more like team activities or team group works, more presentations. These were something which I think was missing, at least when I was studying in India. Maybe it's changing slowly, but so I think this could be something people can learn from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Here I would say that there's a bit struggle, especially when you're teaching bachelor students or school kids which are involved in some activities. The obedience aspect lack. So it's a mix of different things.
भर के जा
करती लफ्जों की धोखेबाजी तुम साथ हो या ना हो क्या फर्क है बेदर्द थी जिंदगी बेदर्द है अगर तुम साथ हो अगर तुम साथ हो
Now you are doing PhD, so it means that probably you will be a teacher soon, or you are a teacher now. That's why I wanted to ask if you will be a teacher, which way of education you will choose, because you are very well experienced, international experience, or you will mix all of that. What's your choice?
Of course, I've been supervising almost like 7 different master's students when I was doing my PhD at NTNU, and then I was actually teaching or guiding bachelor students when I was working in UK, or when I was doing my master's in UK. I think I've always tried to bring in my experience and expertise of different kind of cultures. I think that's something, it's a very good question actually, I never really thought about it. But I think it's a very mixed approach. I think it's something which I've learned somewhere in India, like how you need to be structured and more organized. At the same time, how important it is for you to give flexibility for your master students. So you really drive a very structured process with a clear guideline and clear deadlines, but at the same time you give them a lot of freedom to go about exploring the research topic. And then when you see they're moving too far away, try to bring them back. But if they're going good, then give them the complete freedom to come up with what they think is the best way to go about. And I think I've been very successful in that. Many of them have got really good grades and done some fantastic work. And many of them have ended up publishing, which it's not very common as such. But I'm really happy in that way that it's all resulted in some good work and good structured work.
Okay, so I have one more question about your Erasmus experience, and then we will go back to Erasmus Mundus Association. I think everything is connected with that. But the question is, how your society, I mean your family, your friends, your neighbors in India treat you if they know that you're a person who is so much experienced, that study a lot in Europe, in USA, and so on. What's your position there?
I think, as you know, that there is, of course, majority of the Indians live in a very kind of a middle income, maybe that's the right word I can use, and my family is the same, and I can easily see it has impacted quite significantly towards my family and also towards my neighbors and my cousins and extended family, etc. Because I'm the first person who's gone actually outside of even city, forget about country, but even within my city, most of the people have always lived in the same state, in the same southern part. So my aunt was the first engineer in the family, and then she ended up getting a job, and she's happy with it. And for some reason, I had an opportunity to work in 4 different companies when I was graduating, and one of them was a public sector job, which would give you a very good house and a very good lifestyle, if you want to say, in comparison to Indian. But I've always been different in the way I've gone about things, and it's taken some time for my parents to understand. But now I can see that it's really had a big roller effect, where a lot of my cousins, a lot of my neighbors and my friends and their family always look up to me and look up to the way I've grown up in my life and the kind of ideologies which I've brought in. So I think it's really made a very, very positive impact, because then people are not just looking from like a one topic. I would say like the way I go about things is like I really encourage people not to just be a doctor or an engineer, which is a very common thing which used to exist before. It's changing quite a lot already in the last decade, but it still persists a lot in India. So now I think the young ones really are going towards what they think is good for them and for their choices, and not just based on what's good to make money and have a normal life. So I think that's the biggest positive impact for me also personally, but also with my mindset, how others learn from this perspective.
I think you're a beautiful example for them. Kind of person that shows that you can follow your dreams. If you work hard and you study well, you can do whatever you want and wherever you want in another continents, and following your passion, because I guess your studies are and your profession is your passion. If you are able to move to 4 or 5 other countries just to do something that you feel it's good for you and you like it. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful that you are an example like that.
आजा आजा जिंद शामी आने के तले, आजा जरी वाले नीले आसमाने के तले। जय हो जय हो, आजा आजा जिंद शामी आने के तले, आजा जरी वाले नीले आसमाने के तले। जय हो नच कोयलों पे रात बिताई है, अखियों की नींद मैंने फूकों से उड़ा दी, गिन गिन तारे मैंने उंगली जलाई है। आजा आजा जिंदे शामी आने के तले, आजा सारी वाले नीले आसमान के तले। शोपे हम गाने दे, खाने दे, रहने दे।
आसमान के तले आजा
झरी वाले नीले आसमां के तले जय हो Chopin comme des holiday et to be
My next question is about Erasmus Mundus students in Europe, as you are one of them. How you deal with so big distance between your house and the place where you are studying? Probably you see your family not really often because it's far away, and
Yeah,
that's
of
kind of
course.
challenge as well for
It
students.
is a big challenge, and I think, as I said, when I moved away from India in 2007, I would say, and went for US for a year, and then back, and then since 2008, I've been living in Europe, in different parts of Europe. It is a challenge. Initially, at least, I tried to go once a year, but I've tried to maintain that even till now. But of course, it depends on your situation. Sometimes my work has been hectic, and I've tried to delay the travel, but then I've gone for longer days. Sometimes I've gone twice, depending on if there have been emergencies or if there have been some good situations or there have been some celebrations happening, and I've got to be there. So it is challenge, but then I think today the social media and all the smart apps and mobile phones have become we're all becoming much more connected because of the ease of network via communications.
So, if you are a person who is connected with Erasmus Mundus Association, you can choose the project which is named Humans of Erasmus Mundus. What is that? And that, I think, can help the Erasmus Mundus students to, let's say, survive in another country, in another continent.
Absolutely. Means we at Erasmus Mundus Association, as I said, we are close to 15,000 members spread across over 174 plus countries, and we come in all kind of forms, if that's the right way. We have different beliefs, we have different languages we speak, we look different, we think different, and we study different things, but yet we have something in common. And I think we're doing lots of different projects within this Erasmus Mundus Association, and one such project is the Humans of Erasmus Mundus. And the whole perspective of Humans of Erasmus Mundus is to showcase that at the end of the day, no matter what are the differences, that's what makes us the unique, and that's what makes us united. And I think the bigger picture is that, of course, we all come from different parts of the world, but one thing which stands very common for all of us is the European identity in terms of having been educated in Europe. So this Humans of Erasmus Mundus is trying to showcase. The stories are very intriguing and very impressive in many ways, because it really makes you think like, well, I'm not the only one who might have undergone a lot of challenges or lots of barriers to overcome where I am right now. So, and then you can really connect with somebody who has gone through the same situations, and then you see like, wow, okay, there are many people like this who had similar situation. They were not born with a silver cup in their hand, but they managed to really do something good for themselves, for their family, but also for the society, in terms of contributing to research and innovation or whatever job they're trying to do right now. So I think that's the beauty of what we're trying to showcase in this Humans of Erasmus Mundus project. Like, we are global, but yet we have this local identity, and that is main important aspect of this project.
Do you have any buddy program or mentor program?
We do have a mentoring program where the different Erasmus Mundus alumni who have been in some of them have graduated since 2006 now. So most of them are in very good senior positions and have some really good world experiences. And through the mentoring program, which is part of this EMMA professional development team, we are offering this for someone who really want to know, especially the current students who come in for Europe and are trying to figure out what they want to do with their career, whether they want to work in a specific country, in a specific field, or they want to go back to their countries. There's an abundance of knowledge in general within the community, and through this program we try to nurture and mentor people and make them feel at home.
So you don't have to feel as Erasmus Mundus students so lonely in another place and lost, because when you move, whatever, if it's Europe or Asia or United States or Canada or Australia or any of Americas, you can be always lost. Just, it's something normal.
Absolutely.
You have also another programs that are not maybe only helping people to survive in a new place, but also highlighting some very, very important issues. I mean, the project which is named Does It Matter? Can you say something more about that?
It's a very personal project to me, and this is something for me has been a biggest difference for having educated in Europe. Because when you come from India, it's amalgamation of so many different languages and cultures, etc. But yet you're still very similar. And then we are trying to understand, okay, what is really happening? There's a lot of issues which is happening in the globe. There's always this conflicts, which is, even though you have never been part of one of the conflicts, but you always hear these things in the news, and people have this preconceived notions about different people. People have issues with color and different phobias, different isms. And this whole perspective of Does It Matter is like, listen, here we are a bunch of people from all over the globe. Just think about this. This community has been brought together by the European Commission or the European taxpayers' money. And we all have something common. And we never, in Erasmus Mundus Association, I've been associated with the organization for 9 years, I've never really questioned someone, oh, you look different, I don't want to be friends with you. Or you eat that, no way. Oh, you're from Pakistan, I don't really get along well. You know, it's these kind of barriers has never existed in my mind. I've always met people with open mindset, and I'm really lucky to have people from such a global perspective. And we are so close as a family. All my best friends now, more or less, are all from different parts of the world. And Does It Matter's core crux is to showcase to the world is like, listen people, we are just battling ourselves for something which is not precious. I think the most important thing is to really respect, to show love and care towards each other. And it really doesn't matter whatever background, whatever differences you come from, as long as you're a good person, it's important to support and care for each other. And I think for us, that's what we are, and that's what we would like to live with, and that's what we would like to showcase to the whole world. And soon, in a couple of weeks, we will be making this as a global campaign, and we really hope to get a lot of visibility for this particular aspect, especially with so many challenges which we are facing right now. I don't want to get into the details of it, but this is something really dear and close to me, and I really hope that we can really make people aware that it's important to be open-minded. And I think this can only happen when the people leave their comfort zone, when they get out of their houses, when they travel, and when they travel not as a tourist, but when they travel as a traveler. And I think we at Erasmus Mundus have been more of travelers with an open mind and open perspective. And hopefully we can spread this message and really make people aware about the need and importance of such a thing.
That's very, very important campaign, which is oriented outside and inside Erasmus community, and it's promoting human rights and how to deal with discrimination on very sensitive topics. Really, that's beautiful campaign. I think it's a very, very beautiful thing that you are doing.
किया है और हमेशा करता रहूंगा.
मैं रहूं या ना रहूं, तुम मुझ में कहीं बाकी रहना. मुझे नींद आए जो आखिर, तुम ख्वाबों में आते रहना. बस इतना है तुमसे कहना, 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 मैं रहूं या ना रहूं, तुम मुझ में कहीं बाकी रहना।
मेरी स्टोरी भी कुछ तेरी स्टोरी जैसी थी, कॉम्प्लिकेटेड।
किसी रोज बारिश जो आए, समझ लेना बूंदों में मैं हूँ। सुबह धूप तुमको सताए, समझ लेना किरणों में मैं हूँ। किसी रोज बारिश जो आए, समझ लेना बूंदों में मैं हूँ। सुबह धूप तुमको सताए, समझ लेना किरणों में मैं हूँ। कुछ कहूँ या ना कहूँ, तुम मुझको सदा सुनते रहना।
Going to some more easy topics, let's say, also connected with Erasmus Mundus students' life, you have another very interesting project which is named Amor no Mate. We know already that we have over 1 million Erasmus babies. Last year there was a research which shows that because of Erasmus and Erasmus loves, that then maybe sometimes marriages, we have over 1 million kids now. So what is this project about?
This project is mainly about love beyond borders. So the idea is to kind of showcase the people who have actually managed to fall in love and also managed to be in a long-term relationship or even ended up marrying. To showcase to the world is like the beauty is not about what race you come from or what kind of culture you come from, yet you can be connected and find common love. And that's the beauty of this particular project, to showcase and highlight how funny, how interesting the perspective of love can be. And we've seen like very interesting examples of people you means maybe there are a lot of stereotypes in the world, but what this whole project breaks is that love has no borders, and people can connect from some random part of the African continent with Russia, and people can connect from UK to Southeast Asia. It's a very mixed stories, and it's quite fascinating how maybe when you grow up in your own small bubble in your country, you don't have this perspective. And imagine you're coming to Europe first of all, and then you're suddenly meeting so many different people, even the locals and international people within a given city, and then you're really trying to become a very multicultural person. And the babies which are born through this project, I think they're going to be one of the most cutest and beautiful babies because of getting all these interesting features and colors and everything from different parents.
It reminds me about one really good French comedy, because of course if you have a partner from another country, another culture or another religion, it can be maybe not a problem for you but quite difficult to understand for your family and friends. And the English title is Serial Bad Weddings, telling the story about 4 French sisters, and each of them is married to a guy from another culture. Very funny story, and I recommend it to everyone.
And I think it's not easy, as you said, of course, and then it still works. That's what we're trying to showcase, that it is already speaking in your own mother tongue, and trying to communicate that with a person who speaks the same language is challenging. And here you're talking about people who have their own different mother tongues and their own everything, the background, the food and lifestyles is so different, and then they come together in Europe and they're ending up being together. It is exciting, isn't it? Mm.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, how to join you, Erasmus Mundus Association?
We are in over 174 countries today, and we work very closely with most of the European Union delegations in these countries, and I think that's what really makes us very unique and also have a bigger outreach to larger community. But Erasmus Mundus Association, it's a member-based organization, so either you should have received a scholarship or you should have been granted an Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters to join us. So you need to show some kind of a validation and proof to be part of it. But right now we are working on a program to develop Campus Erasmus Mundus or Campus Erasmus Plus. The idea is to develop local nodes in different cities and different countries, wherein we are open our membership to non-Erasmus Mundus people, especially if they want to know more about Europe, more about studying in Europe, and more about learning about all the experiences the different Erasmus Mundus people have had, and maybe if they want to give a try by being a prospective students themselves. So we're working on that, but right now it's a member based on your admissions to this master's program.
Wow, that's amazing. So, for example, if I'm Erasmus Mundus student, I know already that I got scholarship and I'm going, for example, to India. What should I do? Will you found me or I have to found you?
It's very simple. I mean, social media is so open today. We have a Facebook page which is called Erasmus Mundus Association with over 200,000 people which have liked. So you can post your questions or queries there, and our administration would always support you with the right contact. Or if you have become active within the Erasmus Mundus Association, we have a Facebook group, and then you can always by yourself can post things there saying that, okay, I'm going to India for my mobility this year, or even for vacation. Do you have some recommendations? Do we have some? So people always help, and then we are revamping or making it better now. Our community portal, which is mainly for internal members who have access to it, and there you have lots of forums and functionalities where you can get in touch with any person from any corner of the world, as long as their emails are working properly and what they've registered. So, and also we are active in Instagram and LinkedIn. So there are different avenues one can reach, and also through a website there's enough contact details where they can write to people. And we're always happy to connect. We're always happy to take Skype one-on-one or.
So let's promote you a little bit. What's the address of the website?
It's www.em-a.eu.
And my last question, because you are a great example for everyone who are a little bit afraid of going abroad, especially that far away. And what's the impact of Erasmus Mundus for your life?
I think the most important is it really gives you a great platform for your career, a great platform for your thinking process or mind, and a great prospect also economically. It makes a huge difference in all different sectors of your life, I would say. So the impact, I think it's very quantifiable in many senses. Of course, if you manage to get a good job and good opportunity economically, you grow, your family grows, everybody around you grow. Personally, you really grow as a person from maybe having some preconceived notions and stereotypes to really open-minded. And I was a very shy kid. I was very timid and shy personally, and today I think even talking to you, this is my biggest change. I still remember the first day where I was supposed to have this debate. My voice never came out. And then I was so feeling bad for so many days. And I think it's just, it gives you a platform where you can really express yourself completely and barely anybody judges you. And I think that's the biggest impact one can take from this. And academically, you learn a lot. You learn what actually research even means, studying with some brightest mind in the world.
We both recommend Erasmus and Erasmus Mundus as well.
For us, Erasmus Mundus Association gives a global perspective for people from all corners of the world. I think for me, it's been a dream come true. I never imagined to have this kind of an experiences in life. The whole, my perspective, a lot of things have been really shaped from my experiences in Europe in the last decade. And of course, I have a lot of positive things from the country, like from India, where I come from. But it's just trying to kind of mix and trying to really pick the positive things from all these cultures. And imagine there have been so many, like almost nearly 20,000 people having experienced this. And I'm just talking about Erasmus Mundus. But if you add in Erasmus students who have been having this kind of experience within Europe, and now when you are taking into account all the Erasmus Plus, it's really developing the citizens of tomorrow, the citizens of the world, who are more inclusive, more open-minded, and more respectful and more tolerant towards each other, and who also really care and welcome each other with an open heart and open arms. I think that for me has been the most important aspect of having undergone this in Europe, and I really hope that there are people out in the world who are also seeking this kind of an experience, because it's not just about doing a master's in top universities in Europe and then finding a top job, but it's also about being a good human being and developing a very important and nice attitude towards each other. That's what is going to take people a long way, I think so. This has been the biggest experience for me, other than all the good, excellent academic things which you generally get in Europe, but also the cultural and open awareness. It's truly enticing, and I really hope that the people who look for these opportunities in this manner.
Thank you so much for this interview. Thank you so much for so amazing, good stories. I mean, personal stories are always the best, so you showed in the best way how Erasmus Mundus Association works, and congratulations for that.
No, thank you very much, and it's been very pleasure talking to you, and we are excited. We will continue our good work, and we really hope to get more like-minded people who want to have these experiences, look for these opportunities.
So my guest was Pavan Shiriam from Erasmus Mundus Association, the president of this Erasmus Mundus Association. Thank you so much one more time for joining Erasmus Evening Show, and I hope to see you or hear you soon.
Thank you very much.
Erasmus Evening.